Welcome back, everybody. Tim Berry here, Baywatch Arms and Accessories. Also, Baywatch Custom Powder Coating. This is tutorial number 2. And this one, I'm going to show you how to make a 2 artboard template for, now this one particularly, the measurements and all is for an RTIC 30 tumbler. So we've got several ways we can do this. If we wanted to, one way is to go ahead and open the template that we did the other day, the previous video in tutorial 1, and we can open this 4x8 one artboard template, and we can go and modify it, change it, but there's some little tricky things that so this is a 4x8, and actually we want on this one is I believe a 4x7. Well, no, let's see, a 4x7, okay, would be what we wanted on this tutorial. So what you would do is you would end up coming in here and clicking your artboard tool and just bringing it down, and the width would be 7, height would be 4, and what we would do also would be we'd want this to be centered, and what you'll see here is we want the X, oops, I can't remember if it's 3. No, we want the X to be we'll call it 0, and that'll center it up on that one. But let's get out of this one because this one isn't the way I'm going to show you today. I'll come back to that one. So what we want to do is we want to make a new file. So, and then this comes up. Now we're going to do 7 inches wide, 4 inches tall, landscape, and we're going to change this to 2 artboards, and then we're going to click on the create. Now I don't know if this is okay. It makes the artboards to the left and to the right, and I just don't like them in that orientation. I like to work from the top down or the top up or whatever. So what I'm going to do first is, you can see that this artboard is highlighted because the artboard tool is highlighted. I want to go to this one and I want to move it down here, okay? And you can see that when I did that, just the little smart guide lined up to the center, and that's what I want. You can see that little line that popped up. Now that's going to show up probably because of your smart guides. If you don't have your smart guides clicked on, it may or might, you can see that it doesn't act. So you want to go to view, scroll down near the bottom, and click on where it says smart guides. Now what we're going to do is, you can see there it is. Okay, and that's where we want it to be. Now we're going to take this layer number 1, and then name it guides. This is all pretty much the same as we did the other day. And to do something a little bit different, we're going to hit Control R to bring up our ruler. And we're on the guides. I'm going to bring one guide down and put it right there at the bottom of that. And if you look up here, the X is at 3.5 and the Y is at 6.6. width is 7, height is 4. Let me do this because I'm not there. Let me select on this. I'm going to select that. There's going to bring up the coordinates of where that is. So we're a little bit off. You can see not much, a couple thousandths, but I want this to be 4. So when I do, you might see that move. You might not see it move. Okay. Well, actually, I should have done that in actually, looking at my rulers, let's see if I can reposition these. I want to go to this artboard here, okay, and I want this to be, you can see this is at 0 now, okay, because I've clicked on that, and this is left side is 0. So this is 0, 0. Now let's select on this, and you can see that this is at, that's at 4, and this is 5. And what I want to do is, what I'm trying to do is get a space that's a space between there. So when I start copying and pasting guidelines, I'm in the right place, okay? So I'm going to take this one, this guide here, which you can see it's changed because when I selected, you can see that this went to 0. Okay. So let's see how we're going to do this. Let's just leave it alone. Let's just leave it alone. I don't want to make it more complicated than it is. So the first thing we're going to do, we know that left to right is 7. So we want to bring in a guide, a vertical guide, and we want this guide to be at 3.5, and it's going to be 3.5 on the X. So we'll highlight the X coordinate, and that'll be 3.5. That'll put it right in the center, okay? We're going to pull down a couple guides, and they should snap to it. Now, if you don't have your smart guides on, they won't snap. So make sure you go to View, check your smart guides, make sure it's highlighted, and then you can do that. Now, I'm going to pull one down to the top and to the bottom of each one of these. Now, the reason this is happening is because this guide, and you can see a minute ago it wasn't snapping, because if I put my selection tool here, okay, here it won't snap to anything but that. You can see like on this bottom one. So I'm just going to scroll up. I'm going to select on this artboard, take this guide, and you can see that now it wants to snap. Okay, now we're going to do, we shouldn't have to worry about this except for because these two are in parallel. Now those are our main guides. Now you can also make another layer and call it guides 1, guides 2, just to make it a little bit easier to see. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select on that guide. We're going to do an edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and then we're going to move that guide 0.06 to the left. So we want to go a minus 0.06, and that'll move it to the left. Now we should still have that in our clipboard, so we're going to do an edit, paste in place again, get rid of the IN where it denotes inches, and do a plus 0.06. Now we have those two art guides. Now, one of the things you can see, let me jump back here. Well, I clicked on this artboard. Now I want this, I'm going to select on this one, and I'm going to put one in the center. Do edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and we want to move that down. You can see the top of this artboard is at 0. It also up here says it's at 0. We know that the height here is 4 inches. So we want to do a +2. And when I did the backup a minute ago, I lost this one, so I'm going to redo this one. Click on the center guide, edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and then get rid of the IN and do a +0.06. Now, if you notice, the top left of this artboard is 0, 0. Now, if I take my selector and I click on this artboard, it should move it so that the top left of this one is now 0, 0. And instead of copying and pasting, just to show you another way, you can drag an artboard down and you just go into the Y, get rid of everything, and type in the number 2, and that'll put it right in the center. Now here's where you have to be cautious, because we're going to bring in some guides just for the edge. So I just measured the RTIC 30 tumbler, the new one. The circumference of the opening at the top is 13 inches. So that would be 6.5 inches, okay? And then, so when you're wrapping, if you're doing a front and a back, you want them to wrap a little bit, otherwise you're going to have to put tape on the seam right there. So if we take away 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch off of each side, that brings this from a 7 to a 6.5. But what we want to do is we want to leave this artboard because we want them to overlap a little bit, the front and the back. We want these edges to overlap a little bit. What we don't want to do is have our graphics that we're putting in here cross over. So we know this is at 7 right here. We know that we can't go past 6.5. Maxed out. So what we really need to do is we need to copy this one, do an edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and we're going to move it in the X direction +0.5. And we're going to do the same over here. Select it, edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and do -0.5. Now what we've done there is we've just made this area in here 6.5 or 6 inches. So that leaves a 1/4 inch, which isn't a lot. So it'd probably be safe if you wanted to add another 1/4 inch to here and another 1/4 inch to here to this one, just so you're sure that it's not going to wrap and get clogged up in the other. So now we're going to make the guidelines for our registration marks. Now I'm just going to select that guide, edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and then do in the Y direction, we're going to +0.25, which is a 1/4 inch. Now we're going to repeat that on the bottom, top, and the bottom again. Now this is setting up for our registration marks. Edit, copy, edit, paste in place. This time we're going to do -0.25. And same here on this top one. Copy, paste in place, +0.25. Copy. I didn't select it apparently. Okay, now let's lock this, get a new layer down here at the bottom. Okay, where was I after I got interrupted on the phone? Let's see. Okay. What we want to do is we're going to make a new layer and we're going to call it registration marks. Put the color magenta and then save. Okay, now let's see. So we've made our new registration marks. I had another interruption, and that's why I'm a little frizzled, or what, frazzled. We made our registration mark. We've got our guides locked. We're going to come over here to highlight our rectangle tool. Make sure that the fill is blank, and we want our highlight color to be red and to be 0.5 stroke. We're going to start here, and then we're going to go to the intersection, click the left mouse button and hold it down, drag to the other corner till intersect pops up, and that's it. Now you can also do this with lines with your curvature tool. Just double click, double click, double click, double click, and then a single click. If you did a double click here, it would switch it back, and that's just, if you have that problem, just double click it again and it'll go back to the straight line. Now we're going to come out here. We got our curvature tool selected. We're going to go to this bottom of this line. We're just going to double click, somewhere in the middle, double click, and then we're going to drag this to there, and we're going to drag this to there. And we're going to repeat that with the top and bottom of each one of these artboards. Now you could just, if you wanted to, just come in here and where it says intersect, and intersect, and intersect. You can see how that's curving. I'll just double click this again. And then you come up here and drag this up here. But I don't like doing that because when you zoom in, you can see that these are off now. So I'm going to drag it away and drag it back to where it snaps. And that is the reason I do it the other way. I click away on the line, but away from the vertical line. Now you see this little deer? That's just a freak thing of Adobe. You see, as soon as I zoomed out, it went away. So I'm scrolling to the top now. There's the top. Now, and you can see where it's highlighted path. And then I'm just going to drag it to there. Because you'll see that little movement, that little magnetic looking movement where it snaps to that. Now you can go in here and change your snap limits. You'll go to Edit, Preferences. Let's see. Let's look at Smart Guys. Let's see. I haven't really messed with this too much, but you can go, there's a place in there where you can go to find the snap units. It may be under general. But you can do it. I'll find it and show you in another. I just never use it. So now we've got, I'm just going to put on the select tool, click away to take the, to do basically to do a deselection everything. So now we've got this, but because we want to see our registration marks a little better, we're going to go to the artboard tool, which is also Shift O, which I don't use. And you can see this first artboard is highlighted, and we're just going to make it a little bigger. So let's do over here the width. We're just going to do add 0.01 to it. That didn't work. We do plus 0.1. Okay, here we go. And the same thing on a 4, do plus 0.1. Now we're going to take, and because we're still active in the artboard tool, you can see this darkened over here. We're going to click on this artboard and we're going to do the same thing. And this is do plus 0.1, and in the 4 direction plus 0.1. Now, just to show you what I've done, I'm going to turn the guides off, go back to the selection tool, and what I'm going to do on these registration marks, I'm just going to make them a 0.5, makes them a little more visible. Now you can see the reason I've done that is because I don't want the edge of the artboard to line up with the edge of the registration marks, because when I bring it into my Final Cut program, it shows this like it's not been drawn. This is just for me, is a much better, and it's an easier way to work. So turn those guidelines back on. Now, with this, what you can do is you can bring your artwork in, do everything you need to do, and these are your, I guess, your max points. But if it's symmetrical, and you want to make sure you stay away from the top and the bottom registration mark a little bit, maybe 1/8 of an inch. So this is your successful 2 artboard 4x7 template. Now we're going to lock that, and we're going to save this. So we're going to do a save, but it's going to, because it's the first time, it's going to come up as a save as up here. And we're going to put it in with the same folders of the tutorials. Well, in mine, it's the tutorials. And we're going to call it a 2 artboard template. Okay, template. And we're just going to do a save. Looks like I spelled that one wrong. And we're going to do a save. So now we have a 2 artboard template. And now what we can do with this 2 artboard, if we wanted to bring an image in, and let me go over here and just pick one. Let me find one that I've recently. Oh, here's a good one, Punisher. If you like the Punisher, this is just an image I've downloaded off the internet. So you can bring this in, and what we're going to do is select all, edit, copy, go back to our other one, and we would make a new layer. I'm not going to name it just for this purpose. We would make a new layer, and we just do it, edit, paste. Now, once we've done the edit paste, you can see our images in there and we want to move it around however. And let's say we want to put this image in the top, okay, but it needs to be scrolled down. So we'll hold down the shift key and go into this corner, but actually you could probably just go to any, well, no, if you want, yeah, you could go, and now you can see it's symmetrically scrolling it down or scaling it down. So, and then you'll bring it to your size, and you can see that this one you could put one on the front, one on the back, and this is your, this would be what I called your original image, because that's from this point on you would draw all the your lines for your artwork. So at this point, this tutorial is done. I'm going to eliminate this layer, trash it. Okay, this is the template. We're going to save it. Got both layers locked because I like to keep them locked if I'm not using them so nothing gets messed up. And now you have a 2 artboard 4x7 template that you can just open up instead of having to recreate this every time. Because you could take, you know, for instance, that other image, you could scale it down and put one here, one here, one here. And do something else on the back, put an American flag, put any other kind of logo you want on the back. And then when you go to apply these decals, they'll overlap just a little bit so that you don't have to use waste tape or waste vinyl to seal that up when you're powder coating. But it's also, that particular design will not reach the edges, so you're safe there. All you have to do is worry about down here. So I'm going to end this one here. I'm going to close this out, and for this tutorial is done. I hope it helped you. I will I've already got in mind the next tutorial, and what I'm going to do is it'll be some video of me and also some Adobe Illustrator work to show you how to make a specific template for a specific tumbler that'll wrap all the way around, because I know, you know, if you've done tumblers and you make a rectangular template that because the tumblers are actually wider and then they get narrower towards the bottom, that your vinyl has a tendency, you could start it right on the edge, but by the time you get around to the sides, it starts working above the edge, and this other template won't do that. So I'm going to show, I plan on showing that next, or doing that tutorial next. And as always, please subscribe, share it with your friends. If you'd like to become a patron supporter, that's patreon.com/Baywatch Arms. You can, you know, donate a little bit of money. Now this video is public. Anybody, it is posting on YouTube, but it also, what it is, the actual files, in case you want to download them, you are required to be a Patreon member to download the files. So once this video goes on YouTube, it'll also go to Patreon, and the file will be there to download on Patreon also. So I hope y'all have a great day. Please subscribe and share. Hope you liked the video, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.